screen and you're not, let's see, I hope you're seeing my screen and you're not seeing my email. Are you seeing my screen? No, you're not. Okay, well, let me try again. Share screen. Oh, hopefully now. Did it work? Oh,
yes.
good.
There we go.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to pull it over here so that I can see it. The fun thing about doing these wonderful online
Dr.
is
Sandra, we
that,
can see your email.
see, that's always my fear. I told Kyle that before. I said, if I, so what I'm going to have to do is turn to my PowerPoints over here because they're on that monitor and you guys are on this monitor. So forgive me if I occasionally give it one of those. Okay, so you should be seeing my PowerPoints now, right?
Yes.
Good. So we're going to talk about self-care in a high-stress work environment. And, you know, when Renee Roach was on here just a moment ago, she had to run off because, like many of you, you're in high demand and you have lots of responsibilities. And I just am so grateful and fond of our Office of the Registrar and Kelly and everyone that works there because they provide such an incredible service for our students, for the faculty, for the university. And I know each one of you do that for your university as well. And the concern that often comes, I think, along with these jobs where you really want to serve and help people are the limitations that these jobs bring us, because we can't say yes to everybody and we can't grant them all of their wishes and, you know, change that not so good grade to a good one for me. You know, we can't do those kinds of things for them. But we are people who want to provide service. That's why we get into these fields, is to assist people. And when we're in a high stress position, we're often having to tell people things that they don't want to hear or deliver messages to them that have no in it. I can't do that. Sometimes people get pretty upset. And I don't have to tell you all that. You live it and know what it's like. So what I want to do today is just acknowledge that we're going into this with the assumption and the knowledge that each of you do work in a high stress environment, and taking really good care of yourself is important. So let's take a moment and look at what that means. So when we care for others, sometimes that caring starts to hurt us too. And that's when we know that there's a problem. So high stakes working conditions, such as in a university setting, such as you all work in, you're taking care of other people. And often you do that to the expense of yourself. I know that you guys work through lunch. I know that you eat at your desk. I know that sometimes at the end of the day, you're like, you know, I should have gone to the bathroom about 2 hours ago. I know you guys do that. And I know that you're running from meeting to meeting and the phone never stops ringing. So we do have to have some kind of balance to help us with this. When we're creating a healthy stress management skill set, this really does help us to reduce the effects of stress at work. And so I want to talk to you about both. How do you reduce your stress at work when it's happening, and then at home also? Because at home, we should be rejuvenating. We should be building back up, and we should be enjoying that. And sometimes we get home and that honest to goodness truth is we're just so exhausted. We just want to sit down. And unfortunately, that's not always something we can do either. So I want to talk to you about some of those ideas. So our presentation today is going to be about how to implement good self-care at work and at home. And in fact, I have 15 ideas about how to do it at work, and I've got 29 ideas about how to do it at home. So that's what we're really going to spend our time on today, is talking about those items. But before we do that, let's look at stress. Everybody feels stress. Everybody knows what stress is, but let's break it down just a little bit. So we're going to have a brief overview of our stress. First of all, what's the definition of stress? Well, it's any type of change that causes physical, emotional, or psychological strain. Now, stress on a day-to-day basis, everybody knows that we have that. But let me explain to you for a moment what stress really is. If I had a rubber band and I could hold it between my two fingers like this and had it where it was, you know, not tight, but it was just hanging there, you'd see that stress. But most of us don't experience stress in that form. We experience overstress. So if I were to pull my fingers apart with the rubber band around them and we were to look at that rubber band, we'd start seeing little cracks and little changes in that rubber band because it's being stressed. And that's what I'm talking about. We all experience normal day-to-day stress, but in our work environments, we actually experience overstress and strain. And so the way that we respond to stress is what's important, because if we could all just get rid of it, that'd be super, but that's not the way that's going to work. So we have to learn how to be healthy and take good care of ourselves when we're in stressful environments. So I want to tell you a little bit about stress in the brain. I can't come from the Department of Psychology and not talk a little bit about the brain, okay? So when the body experiences stress, there's a hormone called cortisol and it's released. And I know that you've all heard of that before, but I want to tell you a little bit about what it does when it's not good. When we have chronic stress, which is what most of us experience, the body produces too much cortisol. It produces too much and too fast so that cortisol can't actually do its normal job, and it can't do any uptake, which means going and clean it up so that there's not too much. So we just overwhelm our body with it. And basically we wear down our brain's ability to function properly. So really being stressed can cause some problems. It can include killing brain cells because cortisol isn't that friendly when it gets too much of a production, and it can reduce in size the physical areas of the brain that control memory and learning. And unfortunately, then in the amygdala, it can actually increase or expand the area of the brain that controls anxiety. Whew, that's no fun. So when we're experiencing a lot of stress, we can actually have changes in our brain that cause us to have poor memory, inability to retain information that we're trying to learn, or even remember some of the things that we've done before if it's been a while since we've done them. And then I think one of the most unpleasant things is it increases our anxiety. And please understand, I'm not talking about severe psychopathology. I mean, that's my area of expertise, is working with people who have psychiatric diagnosis. I'm talking about just us regular people who are trying to get through life and do one day at a time and do the best that we can. These are the things that happen to us when we have overstress. So stress in the body, we know that stress can lead to heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes as well. And part of the diabetes is connected to the cortisol, because cortisol controls how much sugar each of our cells has. And so it can really create some physical illnesses for us. So stress is a real thing, and it can be really bad if we're not controlling it. So how do we know if we're actually feeling stressed? If it's not just stress, but it's a larger level of stress that could be problematic for us? Well, we're going to, like I said, the fatigue, we're going to have low energy even after we have restful sleep. And for those of you that have children, some of you really small children, I remember when my daughter was little, I didn't get sleep. So it wasn't a matter of restful sleep. The kid didn't sleep. And so, you know, we all have those kinds of struggles, but I'm talking about low energy, even when you do sleep and you wake up the next morning, you're just not feeling it. We can have stress headaches. And one of the ways that I like to help people understand what a stress headache feels like is because many of us hold our stress in our shoulders and our neck, and it crawls up the back of our head. And if you have a headache, but you're not sure, is this a migraine? Is this a stress headache? Is it a sinus headache? One of the things you can do that really is helpful is take your hands and put them on the top of your head and push it down. Hold it just for a moment. If your headache goes away, and then you lift your hands and it comes back, you have a stress headache, because the muscles in the back of your neck, your back, your shoulders, and your head are all contracting and pulling down. And then you get that experience on the top of your head as it compresses those nerves. So if you're getting stress headaches, that's certainly an indicator. Upset stomach and digestive issues can be an indicator of stress. Weight gain due to emotional eating, and weight loss due to anxiety and being unable to eat. So either one of those can be problematic. And you know, the idea about how do I know if I'm emotionally eating? Well, that's not that difficult. Are you eating because you're hungry? And this is nutrition. Or are you eating because you're feeling something, stress, and you're needing to feel less stress, and food is acting as a comfort or a pleasure, or it's easing your mood some way. If that's what you're doing, then that does fall under the category of emotional eating. And hey, I've done that, been there, done that, okay? All right, so our next slide, what are the emotional indicators? Just talk about the physical, or what about the feelings? Well, if we're feeling anxious, we're experiencing depression and irritability, we dread going to work, we're missing work, we're calling in sick, maybe on days we're not really sick, but we're calling in sick and maybe we're using all of our sick days, we're leaving work early, as soon as we can, we get out of there, or are we saying in our internal dialogue, I can't wait to get out of here? Note, this is important. There's nothing wrong with taking a mental health day to rest when you need it. I have no problem with that. Okay, we all need to do that. And I'll tell you, the majority of you don't. And so really giving yourself an opportunity, if you need to take off a day because you need to rest or you need to do some of the things we're going to talk about today, then you might consider if that's something you need to do. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you find yourself just calling in sick and dreading going to work, you're probably experiencing a high level of stress. Oftentimes, you're going to hear in my field, we talk about burnout. And burnout really is real, and it's a consequence of experiencing high levels of chronic stress. So what are some of the cognitive indicators in the way that our mind works? Constant worry, forgetfulness, being disorganized. And when I'm talking about disorganization, I really am talking about, where did that paper go? Where is it? Now, we all can have moments of that, or we can have off days. But if you're seeing that this is a continual pattern, that you're forgetting things, you're disorganized, there may be something going on a mental level for you in terms of stress. Negative thoughts about yourself and about other people. If you find that your coworkers are grating on your nerves, and they don't normally, now some of our coworkers always do, but for the most part they don't. But if somebody is really, I just can't be around them, that might be an indicator of stress. Okay, and it's really coming more from you. They probably haven't changed all that much, but you're experiencing that. And then difficulty learning and retaining new information, that really is an indicator of stress. It's kind of like your mental plate is so full, things are falling off the edge of it now. They're not sticking and staying with you anymore. Okay, behavioral indicators, things that you might be doing that would suggest, or your coworkers are doing, that might suggest that you're stressed, they're stressed. A lack of appetite or overeating, we talked about that with behaviors, with our body earlier. Inability to control anger. When you find, and I'm not talking about you physically attack someone, that's to an extreme. I'm talking about having that irritability and just snapping at everybody, and you're just, you just can't stand one more student coming up to you, you're just gonna pinch their little heads off if they do that. Probably you're feeling some stress. Withdrawal from social interactions. You just don't want to be around people. You want to go to your office and hide, or go to your cubicle and be all by yourself. You just want to be left alone. Probably an indicator of stress. The excessive use of alcohol or drug use, cigarette smoking, or excessive gambling or shopping can also be indicators of stress. Okay, but the good news is, if we're feeling stressed, there are some things we can do, because recovery is possible. So even though the brain and other areas of the bodies can be negatively impacted by chronic stress, the body has a wonderful recovery capacity. And if we shift into doing things that really start to take care of ourselves, our brain will respond, our body will respond, our mood, our cognitive, everything can come back together in a nice balance if we'll take good care of ourselves. So this is where the life-work balance comes to play, doing that good self-care. And here's the sad thing. So many of us who are in environments where we want to help other people and service and care for other people, we are rarely taught how to take good care of ourselves. I think that's a shame. I think that should be one of the first things that we're taught when we want to come into one of these fields where we're providing services and we're helping people. So decreased stress occurs as our brain moves to alpha brainwaves. So right now we're in what's called beta. And beta means that we're awake and alert. I know it's after lunch, so it may feel a little bit hard to say you're fully alert, but that's what beta is, and that's where we are right now. Alpha, however, is a little bit more of a soothing, calming brainwave activity. So if you can imagine what you feel like when you're relaxed, maybe right before you fall asleep, you should be in alpha brainwave activity at that time. And so what we really aspire to is to let our brains move into some of those brainwave activities, the lower ones, the calmer ones, and that's actually going to help us to feel less stressed. So just keep that in mind as we go through some of these. When we do that, it lowers our heart rate and it lowers our blood pressure too. So how do we do that? Well, here are some of the workplace ideas. The first one, and I know it's hard to do because we all know that good work always gives us more work, right? That's the reward for good work, always getting more. So this next idea may be a little challenging, but really we need to take some breaks throughout our day. We need to take 5 to 10 minute breaks all throughout the day to walk or get out of our environment to help ease our stress. If that's just getting up and walking down the hall to fill our water bottle, if it's to walk over to a desk at a colleague and just, speak for a minute, it seems to me that when I was in the work environment back tell my age here, back in the 1980s, when I entered into the professional work field, it was very clear. You didn't take breaks. You came to work sick. It didn't matter if it was your kid's birthday, you showed up for work. I mean, we really had this work ethic drilled into a lot of us. And taking breaks was often considered to be a poor work process. Are you being chatty again with a coworker? Are you not getting your work done? All those kinds of messages that we were sent. But what we know today is if you will take a break, you will actually be more productive when you come back to your desk. So it's important that we do remember that taking some time for ourselves, even if that's a social need, to walk over and say, hi, how are you guys doing? Everything all right? Or whatever it is that you need to do to take a 5 to 10 minute break, do so. We also want to make sure that we keep healthy snacks nearby. Now, I know I said don't eat lunch at your desk, and I do mean that, but throughout the day, we may need to have a snack here or there to get our energy back up. But we want to make sure that it's not that candy drawer. We want to make sure that it's not filled with foods that really aren't good for us or that would cause us to get groggy or sleepy as we're trying to do our work. So you're going to have to figure out what that is for you, but I would encourage you to have some healthy snacks at your desk too, and then take a break, have a snack, get up, walk around for a few minutes, come back and sit down, and I'll bet you feel better. The third idea is always, always, always having that water bottle there with you so that you're staying hydrated and you're drinking enough. And here's another hint. Keep the water bottle because in a little bit, you're going to need to go take a 5-10 minute break, right? Yeah, keep drinking the water so you can take your break. Item number 4, surround your workspace with colors and items that are pleasant to you. That is really important. If we're in a bland work environment, we really can not respond as well. If you have things surrounding you that are comforting and soothing and that you enjoy, it's really okay to take a moment, stop and enjoy them, and then get back to work. Takes that little break, makes you feel more comfortable. The next item is to take the stairs when possible for the benefit of light exercise. And I know you've heard that a million times before. Take the stairs, take the stairs. Well, what if my environment doesn't have stairs? That's okay. The concept really is exercise is good for us. Now, I'll be the first person to say that I've been in the exercise witness protection program for a long time, hiding out from exercise because I just don't like it. But the reality is Exercise is good for our mind and our bodies and our mood. And so getting up and walking around, taking the stairs, sneaking it in however we can is really good for us. And then, of course, if we have a plan where we're using a treadmill, or we have a walk partner that goes around the block with us, or perhaps we have another form of exercise that we can enjoy, certainly do that. But that's what that's really about, just making sure that we're getting in some light exercise here and there throughout our day as well. The next item at work is at your desk. You can actually do some relaxing. So if you close your eyes and slowly count, whatever you want to count to, however much you want to exercise. I mean, not exercise, good grief, however much you want to relax. So, if you want to just sit there for a few minutes and do a slow count to 5 and then open your eyes, or if you want to do a slow count to 10 or maybe 100 on a bad day, do what you need to do. But it's really okay to do that. Just relax yourself and take a moment, take a breath, do a count, and then open your eyes when you're done and come back. You might find yourself being a little more relaxed and rejuvenated. Our 7th item on the list is to take an actual lunch break. I'm a real big believer in that. Eating at your desk can be productive, but it's not relaxing. And again, research does indicate that if we'll take time out and step away from our work environment, when we come back, we really are more productive. So I'm as guilty as the next person of sitting here and eating while I'm trying to grade papers and do whatever it is that I'm doing. But I will tell you that we pay a price for that when we don't take our breaks. And if you're a social person like I am, spending a lot of time by yourself isn't always a good idea either. So I like to do lunch breaks, and I like to do lunches with my colleagues because they, of all people, rejuvenate me more in the work environment than anything. So our 8th item is to look into the HR employee benefits where you work and see if you have opportunities such as gyms or gym memberships, spin classes, or yoga. And by the way, I understand that you've got chair yoga coming on after my presentation. I was like, whoa, that sounds like so much fun. I thought I can't compete with chair yoga. That's just a great idea. The employee assistant programs. And of course, if you need mental health services, check with your HR about that too. Remember, there's no shame in having anxiety and depression. It is an illness, just like if you have a cold or just like you have a broken arm. So making sure that you're taking care of yourself in that way too is really important. And then item number 9, learn something new that's different from what you do every day, because variety is the spice of life. So if you're kind of getting bored with some of the work that you're doing, you might go to your supervisor and say, hey, can we add something a little different? Can I learn something new, or take a class, be challenged with something, take on a new responsibility, maybe dropping an old one, maybe trade something with someone. So you're not just taking on more and more, but that you're having new opportunities. Our 10th item for decreasing our stress while you're at work is to limit working too much at one time and overtime. I know that we can overwork very easily, okay? Because it seems like we're never going to get it done. And the reality is we're not, because every day we come in and there's more to do. So we do the best that we can. And I would encourage you to really limit your overtime or you're staying late at work. And for many of us, there's not a financial reward for it. And for those of us that there are financial reward, sometimes the cost is greater than the money that we're earning. So I just encourage you to think about that. As I said earlier, burnout is real, and it will remove the joy from your work and your home life. So it's really important that we figure out ways to make sure that we're not doing that. Our 11th item is find support through your coworkers and employer. I think it's really important that we have those nice cowork relationships and that our employers are responsive to our needs. And so I'd encourage you to make sure that you're creating those relationships. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be besties. Sometimes you are, sometimes you're just good coworkers. That's okay too, because you don't have to be best friends to be able to support and encourage each other. We're all in this together and we all know the stress. And so helping each other is a great idea. And having those relationships can really mean a lot. Our 12th item is ask for help when needed. That's important. Sometimes when we're just so overwhelmed, we don't even know what to prioritize. Sitting down and getting some help from someone who can assist us with that is important. And asking for support is also a good thing to do. So many of us live quietly within ourselves, and our coworkers and our employers don't know that we're struggling or that something's going on, whether it's at home or it's in the workplace. And I'm not saying that you make your coworkers and your employers your therapists, but I certainly am saying that it's good to be able to go to them and ask for support. And I know that my chair of my department is just fantastic when I've gone to him and said, look, I can't do one more thing. Please do not give me one more thing to do. And he's like, you got it. And he followed through. I appreciated it until I was able to come back and go, okay, I'm good now. Let's go. Then the 13th item here is talk about a difficult situation with your coworkers and your boss. You know, if you bounce things off of them, get new ideas and opportunities to see how they handle things, that can also be helpful. And be open to new ways of handling difficult situations. Just because you've done it a certain way for a while, doesn't mean that there's not a new way to do it. And then, of course, what I've already talked about is brief exercise. So item 14 is to let yourself do a relaxation exercise. Now, this one is really cool. It's not like exercise like you get hot and sweaty and stuff like that. It's a brief exercise of relaxing. So if you want to do it with me now, we're going to do it. And if you say, I'll save that for home, that's okay too. So first of all, what I want you to do is just be aware that many of us really hold our stress in our shoulders, our necks, and like I described earlier, in the top of our heads. So what I want you to do is just relax your shoulders. And then I want you to take a slow breath in, and I'll count 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to slowly exhale. 1, 2, 3. And just imagine your neck and your shoulders relaxing. Okay? And you'll want to do that repeatedly and just give yourself that break. Relax those shoulders. For me, sometimes I'm walking around like this. My shoulders are at the top, bottom of my ears, and I hope they're not at the top of my ears, but they might be, but they're the bottom of my ears. And I try to, okay, get those shoulders down. And one of the best ways to do it is to add the breath to it. 1, 2, 3. And exhale, 1, 2, 3. And let those shoulders just drop as you're counting out. Okay, I hope you guys will practice that. I think you'll find that it's really helpful in relaxing your body, and it relaxes your mind. Okay, so little brief exercises like that can be helpful. And then item number 15, which is actually our last one on our what to do at work before we go to the what to do at home. Number 15, learn how to have difficult conversations. I know that's awful. I really wish none of us ever had to do that, but the reality is that we do. And so if you ask a more experienced colleague to mentor you in this area, or someone who has equivalent experience as you talk about how you handle difficult conversations, that can be made easier as they share with you what they do, and you share with them what you do. Because in high stakes environments such as your jobs, having difficult conversations is difficult because the people that you're working with are emotionally and financially invested in outcomes. And yet we can't always give them the answers that they want. And sometimes they get angry and we get the brunt of it. And so it's not our fault. We can't help it. Nothing we can do about it. But we have to prepare ourselves so when we have these difficult conversations, we're not injured by their displeasures. We want to pay attention to our internal experiences when we think about having these types of conversations. I don't mean when we're right in the middle of it. That's for later. For right now, as you really start doing your self-care practices, think about those difficult conversations and what that felt like. If you're like me, I feel those butterflies in my tummy and they just get going. And so I hold that energy in my stomach. So I do the same exercise with the whole, breathe in and breathe out. But instead of it being my shoulders, I focus it on my tummy area. And then that helps me to relax and get ready for the physical experience and the psychological experience want to have one of those difficult conversations. And I know sometimes they surprise us. So we want to get prepared for that by practicing before they happen. And then we want to identify why we feel the way that we do. And again, anxiety is often the most frequently reported response. When someone's yelling and they're angry, it's not our fault, nothing we can do about it. But boy, they're coming at us with it. That is not pleasant. And also, there are some really helpful books on the topic. There's one actually called How to Have Difficult Conversations. And it's really a useful book to look at how do you talk to people who are having a bad moment. I hope it's not a bad life, a bad moment, a bad day, a bad experience. And they decide that at the registrar's office, you're the ones that they're going to yell at. How do you take care of you? Because we all pay a price for that if you don't. Okay, so I've talked to you about some ideas of what to do at work. I hope you found at least something in there that was helpful. So now we're going to go to what do we do outside of work? Because here's the real story. What you do out of work outside in your home environment is actually more important than what you do at work. Okay? These are the ones that are really important. So what I want you to think about is when you're not at work, you need to have some fun. Now, that doesn't mean every moment of off work is going to be fun. It's not, because we have adult responsibilities, and adult responsibilities are not always fun. You know, I have that funny little t-shirt that says, I can't adult today, don't make me adult. I think that's funny. And on days when I kind of feel like that, I wear it. So here's the deal. Adult life isn't always fun. I get that, but we have to make fun. We actually have to create it. We can't wait for it to fall in our lap, and we can't expect it just to occur naturally. We have to make it happen. We need to enjoy life, because work is work and not work is not work. Okay. My mom used to say, I know work is not fun. That's why they call it work. Like, okay, Mom, got it. Okay. So we've got work and we've got home, and we need to make sure that we are rejuvenating and revitalizing when we're at home. So whatever you do out of the next 29 things I tell you, or things you already have on your list, I want you to do life activities that nurture you and feed your soul. And I want you to do it as often as you can, okay? So let's look at what some of those things might be. All right, drawing. Okay, just taking out your pencil, piece of paper, draw. If you don't know how to draw, it's no big deal. It's not artwork. It's just drawing. It's just having fun. It's just giving your brain an opportunity to move away from the deep, intensive work that you do all day and just get into a place where the brain waves are slowing down and you can enjoy yourself. So if you like to draw, draw. If you don't like to draw, try it. See what you think. You might like it. And draw with any medium that you want to. You might want to use markers or crayons or any kind of medium that will work for you. So you might try it. Writing is another tool that helps us to really shift those brain waves down and to relax. And it can be writing your own novel, writing a funny story, nothing with the pressure of publishing it or having anybody else read it. It's just for you. What do you want to write? Write creatively, something that helps you to feel good. Write letters to people that you love, but you never send. Write letters to God if that's something that would help you. Whatever you do that helps you to feel good, that's what you need to do. Adult color books are very, very popular right now. And I know some people think that's frivolous or silliness. Honestly, it's not. It's really a nice relax. It helps to relax the brain. And because it's a low stakes behavior, it can become very pleasurable. I know a lot of adults who enjoy doing the mandala color books and all the different kinds. It's like paint by numbers, but you're using markers or crayons or something, or colored pencils instead of paints. So it's really a great thing, very relaxing and soothing. So you might think about that. Item number 4, do a DIY project. And that could be arts or crafts, or it could be some kind of a home project. Now, Not everybody finds home projects relaxing, because if my husband came in and said, we're going to paint the living room tonight, that would not be on my list of fun things to do. But there are people that it is. And if that is something that resonates with you, then those DIY projects will make you feel good. And so do them. Another one is actually to paint. Now, again, we're not talking about painting so that you're creating a product, that you're selling it, you're showing it to people. We're talking about you're doing something just because you're enjoying doing it. And you can use oils. Watercolors are so popular these days. Acrylics are wonderful to work with. If you want to paint, get you a paint by number. In fact, as a therapist, I have on more than one occasion given a homework assignment to a very stressed, anxious, and depressed client, the assignment to go to Walmart and get a paint by numbers and start painting. And in fact, I even had an individual one time who was a professional artist who had just lost the desire to paint, sent him to Walmart, got a paint by numbers, and he started painting again. And at first he thought it was really silly, and I told him he will, and he did. And I said, hang in there, keep going. And before you knew it, the paint by numbers was set aside and he was actually doing his artwork and creating. So again, it's a wonderful way to do it. Don't feel silly about these things that are playful and fun for us. Remember, it's not work, it's play, it's fun. And then your thing might be fabric work. You know, you might be a seamstress. You might enjoy making or designing a variety of things. One of the things that I've seen this season that's so popular are all of the fabric pumpkins that are coming out this time of year. And again, don't pressure yourself that you have to create it to sell it or to show it to other people or display it. That's not the point. The point is just to get into that space where you're in psychology research, it's called the flow. When I was a kid, we called it the zone. So, you know, it's just letting yourself be in that space that feels good and is relaxing and is fun. Item number 7, paper crafts. Okay, making cards or quilling. If you're not familiar with quilling, the art of paper, you might look into that. It's really a fun thing to do. And people are enjoying making cards, and it feels very down to earth, very settling and very grounding to do those kinds of things. There are a lot of people today that are purchasing die cut machines. I've heard Cricut and Silhouette, Cameo, all those kinds of brands where you actually have a machine that cuts things out for you, and then you put them together. If it's fabric or if it's paper or faux leather, a variety of different things. You might find that that's something you're interested in looking into. Creating wreaths, swags, or centerpieces. This is the time of year people do a lot of that. So if you're into the mesh and what else are they using? Of course, the artificial flowers and all that, and you want to create something, creativity is very soothing to our brain, very relaxing. Flower decorating falls right in there. And then one of my favorites, baking. My husband always laughs. There's only the two of us at home now. And he's like, and yet you bake for an army. I'm like, yeah, I know. I just like it so much. So that can be another relaxing form. Walking, as I said earlier, not a speed pace, but you could do that if you wanted to. But I'm talking about walking for conversation with a friend or a partner, having a mate that walks with you, if it's around the block or if it's on the track or wherever, can be really enjoyable and relaxing. Of course, sports and exercise is really helpful for de-stressing for a number of people. So if that's your thing and you've been putting it off, not doing it, you might get back into it. Item number 14, watching relaxing television. I'm talking about the brain numbing kind that you probably don't want to tell a lot of people you're watching because it's not stimulating, it's not intellectual, it's just watching TV to watch TV. And I know a lot of people who really enjoy just kind of getting out of the work stress world and into, if it's a sitcom or a reality or whatever it is that you like, just do that and enjoy yourself so you can relax, let your mind and your body de-stress. Some people will stress right up until the time they go to bed at night. Don't do that. That's not good for our bodies. And if you're not relaxing, your brain is not relaxing at night. We spend a lot of time in rapid eye movement or REM sleep, where we're processing the events of the day, that's not relaxing, I assure you. If you watch someone who's in REM sleep, they are not relaxed. And so we spend a lot of time throughout the night in that brain state. And so what we need to do is while we're awake, really let our bodies and our minds relax so that we're able to rejuvenate and recoup. Pleasure reading, one of my favorite things to do. Usually, remember, we're going to be reading at a lower level than what's required during deep concentration, or if we're trying to read to learn something or to edit something. I know you guys do a lot of reading throughout your day, so you're going to want to find some kind of pleasure reading that's at a lower level. So for me, I'll just give my example. I have a PhD, and when I read, I really enjoy young adult literature. That's fun for me. It's real easy to read. I don't have to worry about it. And I rarely have to reread something to understand the concept. So whatever it is that you might find is enjoyable to read, then do that. But you're not going to want one of those stressful levels of reading that's like in your work environment. You want something that's kind of fun, that's at a lower level and easy. Also, and I think this is so important, enjoy time with those that you love. Sometimes work gets in the way of life, and life is what's really important. And the most important thing are the people we love, and making time for them and spending time with them. I know COVID has been such a tough time for all of us, but if it's FaceTiming or it's actually seeing each other, I think that's important. My daughter had COVID, and my husband, I'm very concerned about her. So I would wear my mask and go to her house, but I would stay on the outside with my mask on, and I'd look at her through the glass door. And I was like, Mama just has to see you. I just have to see you. And her husband, I was like, I just have to put eyes on you, make sure you guys are okay. They are. But in the meantime, just making sure that we're connecting with the people that we love, because that is so very important. And I hope that we're working so that we can make a living and we're not living to work, because there's so much more with the people that we love and that we connect with than our work environment. So the next item, sometimes we don't let ourselves do, and it can be very relaxing and fun, is to shop at a store you enjoy. Sometimes we don't make time or let ourselves go out and do that, but that can be fun as well. Learning to cook a new style of food. If you enjoy cooking and you are really good at Southern cooking, but you're like, I've never tried this kind. Well, why don't you learn something new? Give yourself an opportunity to expand your portfolio of cooking skills and cooking tools. That can be fun and relaxing. You'll enjoy that. I've already talked about baking. I think I may have had that on there twice because I really like baking. Listen to audiobooks. I know a lot of friends of mine enjoy audiobooks very much and find that to be just so relaxing and comforting. Item number 21, music. I know that we were playing some music before we all came on. Music's important. Letting ourselves just get lost in it. If it's listening to it, if it's playing, if we play a musical instrument, if it's singing, if you're in the car with me at any point going to and from work, I'm hanging out with my tunes and I'm singing and having a good time when I go to work and as I come back home, because I just enjoy that. I don't have a great singing voice, but I sure do enjoy singing along in my car, and it helps me to decompress as I go home. Getting a massage can be a really nice thing. When I was in full-time practice, I thought that it was so important. I actually received a massage every single week to help me to de-stress and get all that stuff out of my body that I had accumulated throughout the week listening to people who were in a lot of pain. Getting a manicure, or some people really enjoy pedicures. Those can be a nice treat to help us relax. My daughter is a nail tech, and she's like, Mom, people just relax so much when I'm working on their nails, and people sometimes fall asleep when I'm doing their pedicure. And I'm like, well, I always wanted you to be a therapist. She goes, Mom, I am. I just happen to do nails. And so the 24th item I want to share with you is to schedule something in the near future, something to look forward to. Now, this is a big psychological boost. If we have something we're looking forward to, every time we think about it, it can make us feel better. So it could be a short trip or a visit somewhere. Maybe you're ordering something from retail and it's going to be delivered to your home and you're looking forward to that, or a weekend day trip, or anything that you might be able to look forward to that would be fun. Doing those kinds of things gives us a little bit of a psychological boost, and it can help us to feel more relaxed and less stressed, more positive. Now, I'm going to spend just a little bit of time talking about this item number 25 out of our 29 because I'm almost done. The power of puzzles. I hope I have some puzzlers out there because I really want to share with you. This is important. Now I'm talking about jigsaw puzzles, puzzles that you put together, if they're wood or if they're cardboard or whatever format you like. There are a lot of benefits, and research has been looking into this. So what are the benefits of putting a puzzle together? Brain exercise. It improves our visual spatial reasoning. It increases our attention to detail. It improves our memory, our mental speed, our thought processes, and our concentration. Also, research suggests that puzzling can increase our IQ by 4 points. Some days I need that. It improves our problem-solving skills, and we can become more innovative with problem solving and teamwork if we're puzzling with others. I like to puzzle with my husband because there are sections I don't like to put together, and he comes up and he's really good at it. Solving puzzles helps to produce dopamine, and this is the coolest part. I like this one the best. Every time a puzzle piece is placed in the right spot, neurotransmitter dopamine in our brain is actually released. And we can select one puzzle that you can complete, but not frustrated. So let me clarify that. When I put a piece into the puzzle, I really do get the dopamine. I tell my husband, it's so satisfying when I can make a piece match. But here's the caveat to be careful about. Make sure that you're putting together puzzles that are doable and puzzles that you enjoy. Because my husband is always like, put together that 2,500, or the one that's all one color. And I'm like, you are out of your mind. That is not something that I would enjoy at all. So I find those that I like the picture and the image, and I enjoy the number because I can complete it in a timely manner. So if you like to have your puzzles challenging, go for it. But if you're like me and you just want to enjoy them, then pick one that's reasonable that you can enjoy. Research shows that regular puzzling may delay the symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's. So for those of us who are puzzling on a regular basis, that's good for our brains. I hope you'll think about it. So the last ones I wanted to share with you, crossword puzzles are also very good because I always get that question after a puzzle. What are crossword puzzles? Yep, they're good too. Internet games, there are lots of games on the internet that can be fun and relaxing, and you can enjoy those. Journaling, writing down your thoughts and your feelings. A little bit different from writing on a creative level, but expressing your thoughts and your feelings. If you want that to be a dear diary or dear journal, or you want it to be letters that you're writing to yourself. I have one colleague who writes letters to her future self. I think that's pretty neat. And then she's also written letters to her prior self. Like, when I was 18 years old, dear 18-year-old self, here's what I want you to know. I know that's pretty cool. The next item is number 29, and apparently I have more than 29, I can't count, so I've got 29 in here multiple times. So the 29 I'm talking about is the turn off the television or stop watching the news. When we're feeling stressed from our work environment, we don't need to hear about all the stressful things that are going around all over our country, all over the state, all over the globe. Turn it off. That's probably the number one thing I say to my clients when they come in and they're feeling stressed. Turn off the television news. Stop watching. I don't care which channels you're watching, CNN, Fox, MSBN, whatever. Stop it. You don't need to take on additional stressors. The next item is be sure to get enough sleep. There's always at home, just like at work, one more thing to do, one more thing to do, one more thing to do. And we can be up very, very late and not get the rest that we need. And so please make sure that you are routinely going to bed at about the same time, getting up at about the same time, even on the weekends. If you're doing catch-up sleep on the weekend, that means you're not getting enough sleep during the week. And then the next item is relax and enjoy, whatever that looks like for you. You just need to identify what that is and start doing it. Knowing it but not doing it is not truly knowing it. So put a plan into action of what you're going to do to start taking good care of yourself, both at work and at home. And then I wanted to make sure that I add pets in there. For all of you who have fur babies, it's really important that you know that research suggests that petting and playing with our pets helps to reduce our heart rates and our blood sugars. Our blood pressures. I don't know what it does to our blood sugar, but it might, because it lowers our cortisol levels, so it might reduce our blood sugar too. But it's really good. Those little fur babies serve a purpose. So you guys that have them, enjoy them, pet them, hold them, and do what you need to do that helps you to relax. I just hope you guys take such good care of yourselves. You're vital, you're necessary, you're important in your workspace, and taking care of yourself at home and in the workplace will make your work career extended and more pleasurable. So are there any questions that you have for me?
Dr. Saylor, it doesn't look like anyone put any questions in the chat box, but they did share some ideas that they do, like they do puzzles and Legos, and I'll probably mispronounce this, Sudoku.
Sudoku, that's a good one.
Yeah, and but they did make several comments about those, and I have saved those, so I'll share those with you at a later time.
Oh, that's wonderful. Good for you all. I hope that you continue to take good care of yourselves at work and at home. And if you see a colleague who looks like that they're kind of having a hard time in that self-care area, you might just share with them some of the things that you do, and maybe that'll inspire them as well. I hope you all do something wonderful to take care of yourselves. Kelly, thank you and your attendees so much for letting me come and spend some time with you today.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Saylor. We appreciate your time. Kyle